Hey guys, Joel's coming at you with another reasoning session, and today I'm going to be talking about how the stories in our subconscious actually manifest things that, you know what, we don't even want at times.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
But the stories in our subconscious are deeply ingrained, and we might not even know when they started or how they got there, but they actually dictate how our lives unfold and how certain situations actually give us results that, you know what, might not even be in harmony with what we've visualized, with what we've set out, all of that stuff. It goes contrary to that and actually sabotages our own life experience. But literally, this text, the Bible, is full of these kind of examples. Like I say, the Bible is a manifestation manual, but the story that I'm going to be using to drive this example home is from the account of Elisha and his encounter with the Shunammite woman. Now, as he was going through the land, he passed through the tribe of Issachar, and in that tribe there was a town called Shunem, and that's where he met this woman. I'm just going to read straight from the text again. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of God, which passes by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray you, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be when he comes to us, that he shall turn in thither. So you see that she recognized who Elisha was as a prophet, as a conduit for this divine source energy. And by offering him food and ultimately inviting him to stay on her property, she was actually opening the door for this energy to flow into her own life. This is a method of sowing the seed and then reaping a reward. And we're going to see that right here, because Elisha noticed this and he called her before him to actually give her some of this reward. And he said unto him, that's Elisha talking to his servant, Say now unto her, Behold, you have been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for you? Would you be spoken for to the king, or to be the captain of the hosts? So you see, he was going to offer her whatever she wanted. But she answered, I dwell among my own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi, his servant, answered, Verily, she has no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door, and he said, About this season, according to the time of life, you shall embrace a son. And she said, Nay, my lord, you man of God, do not lie to your handmaid. So here we see that he was telling her what was coming to her according to the desires of her own heart. And she didn't expect it, but the very response she gave showed where her subconscious really was standing. She said, Don't lie to me. Don't put me on. Don't give me a false hope, because, this is the one thing I want in life, but I've been denied all these years. Things haven't worked out, blah, blah, blah. That was her first response. She couldn't even put her full trust that Source could give her this. Her first response was one of doubt. And let's see how that unfolds. And the woman conceived and bore a son at that season that Elisha had said unto her, according to the time of life, i.e. 9 months. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers. And he said unto his father, My head, my head. And he said to a lad, Carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And skipping down a few verses, so she went and came unto the man of God in Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, Behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Run now, I pray you, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with you? Is it well with your husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well. The thing is that the child was dead, but she was coming knowing that that man of God could make things well, so she was speaking from that end as if it was already accomplished. And that is a key to see how this thing unfolds. Yes, she manifested based on the subconscious story that she was telling herself, but she broke through that and she said, you know what, regardless of what it looks like, it is well. But then when she actually came to the man of God, she had to tell him what was going on. She didn't deny and just say, all is well, nothing's wrong. She told him what was up. And she said, did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, do not deceive me? And so she admits the whole thing to him. And it's through admitting the subconscious stories that we've had that we're able to break past them and actually write new stories that can create a new life experience story. So moving on the story, Elisha sends his servant Gehazi with his staff and says, go up there without talking to anybody, and when you get there, just lay the staff on the child's face and he'll come back. But that didn't work out, so Gehazi sends message back to Elisha, and Elisha ends up going there himself. And when Elisha was coming to the house, behold, the child was dead and laid upon his bed. He went in therefore and shut the door upon them both and prayed unto Yahweh. And he went up and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him, and the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. So we see that even though that story was intrinsic to the woman, she did the work and actually turned it around. And she started, before it even happened, telling the story that all is well. And that is how we can actually manifest through something. We have to acknowledge where we were standing, what manifested it in the first place, because even after she says all is well, she comes to Elisha and actually tells him, this is what I'd said, but you can fix it. We can fix this thing and move forward. And literally that's what we got to do. Like, we don't know a lot of the subconscious stories that are in us. They've come from our parents. They've come from, even before that, our parents were born with their own issues that they passed down unknowingly. But once they present themselves and we recognize it, we can actually turn it around based on the story that we prefer. And like I said, this whole text deals with this issue time after time. You can find countless stories. This is just one. If you look at the story of King Saul and when he was anointed first king by the prophet Shemuel, like, you can see that he wasn't expecting it. He was just looking for his father's donkeys, to be honest. And all of a sudden the prophet lays this trip on him and says, you're going to be anointed king over Yahweh's inheritance. That was a pretty hard trip. And the next morning, after he has this huge mind-blowing experience, he's hiding in the back behind all the baggage because he doesn't want to be king. They literally got to force him out. And then, he makes a few mistakes along the way. And when his kingdom is finally taken from him, because he was manifesting based on these subconscious inadequacies, he said, I'm from the tribe of Benjamin, the least of all the tribes, blah, blah, blah again. That manifested. And then when he found out that David was the next heir to the throne, his whole kingdom mission became a campaign to eliminate David. That's basically what he spent the rest of his life doing, trying to kill David. Another example of how we manifest our subconscious beliefs are the trials of Job. Job literally was afflicted in ways that we couldn't even imagine, because he literally straight up says, for the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. And that's the thing. What we expect subconsciously, even though we talk nicely, we might do visualization, but are they really sinking deep down into the subconscious where they actually can take root and start to manifest seeds? Because if it's not, there are other seeds down there that are already germinating, they're already sprouting, they're already bearing fruit, many of them. So let's just do some inner work and really break through those barriers and really start to manifest a world that we know we're deserving of. Because if it's not Source's best for us, then we're actually just wasting our time, we're wasting our energy, and we're wasting our lives, where we can actually start to build up other people around us, start to build communities and events and situations around us that actually bring that true calling into fruition. That's what we're here for. We're here to create these ripples that influence others in the world and create more of that world that we know we're deserving of. So I love you guys. I'll see you in the next reasoning sesh. Joel signing out once again. Agape. Salaam. Namaste. Shalom. But the story I'm going to be using to use the but the story I'm going to be covering to get this, come on, man.